said he was.
Oh, well, that happens. I mean, one work is never done.
No. Yes, sir. Good to see you. We were talking about you.
Well done.
Oh, yeah. Nice to see you. All right.
Your mother said check your message.
Oh, I did. I did. I got it.
You did?
I'll
Okay.
talk to you.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Too much stuff.
Yeah. Well, we got a few papers. Oh, they don't.
They said that several people have been in already.
Yeah.
Well, it looks good, so if they go by what it looks like, I think they ought to come.
Okay.
Yep, nice and professional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I were a veteran, I'd probably take the license.
Right.
Appreciate you being the boss.
Yeah, we want a piece. Right.
One of those you can't really have a good
Right.
professional
Right.
on-site.
Right. Yep. We're all in this together.
When I'm retired, I'm probably the first one to be there.
Yeah. Right. No,
Just be
I am
everywhere and
going to
everything.
be real retired.
Like everywhere, every time. Oh, you're swell. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Courtesy. I got your note.
Oh, great, great.
Okay. So I was like, I'm.
Yes, sir.
Do you by chance need because it had loaded my laptop the prior 3 days ago.
Yeah.
You need Peter.
Yeah. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Get him there.
Right. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if somebody else finished it
Okay.
today.
That's kind of actually a little.
No, I think we're all going. So I mean,
Maybe
well, I mean, somebody else.
staff, the IT person.
Oh,
Yeah, so you need to do that for me.
You can use it?
yes.
Okay, thank you very
Uh-huh.
much. That'll get me back for tonight. I better go read fast. No problem, I'll get it.
I know I probably shouldn't do this to you, but
What's that?
that's my bill.
Okay. All right.
This is my credit card.
Okay.
And this was Dr. Mosier's medical release. I don't think we ever put it in the file. I
Okay.
think we talked about it and we said, it was approved and everything. But
Okay.
I was supposed to bring it, put it in the file, and I
Okay.
didn't.
All right.
So,
In the file we shall put it.
okay.
I do have a question for you. So when I'm doing the roll call, do you have a preference as to what I say, Chairwoman Brown or Trustee Brown?
Do we have a budget?
Okay. I just want to make sure. Calling proper protocol.
No problem. to order Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees, September 18th, 2018. We will have the meeting called to order, and then we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Wade Abel, our new director of the Veterans Center, and he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We just had a great time downstairs cutting the ribbon for our new Veterans Center, and that is our new director, and we're looking for great things. And this is our first evening meeting, so we're doing a lot of firsts today. All right. Can we have the roll call, please?
Trustee Ash.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Criswell.
Here.
Trustee Daniels.
Here.
Trustee Garner.
Here.
Trustee McIntyre. Trustee Sutton.
Here.
Thank you. And now we will see if we have anyone from the audience to patrons that wish to speak. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going way too fast. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we will have audience to patrons and petitioners that would like to speak to the board at this time. Anyone in the audience? All right. Thank you very much. We have a recognition I wanted to read. I believe all of you received it on your board effect, and it is from the Back to School Fair organization, and it reads, "Dear Board of Trustees and staff, KCK Community College, thank you for your commitment to children in our community. We very much appreciate your continued support of the Wyandotte County Back to School Fair and the work we do to prepare our students for a successful school year. Parents and students face so many challenges as they prepare for a new school year. We count it a success that we are able to meet those needs at the fair. 3,000 backpacks with school supplies were provided to students attending and students in our homeless community. 2011 age-appropriate books provided by the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library were provided. 92 students received physical exams administered by 74 volunteers from the Kansas University Medical Center, with 20 referred to additional medical care. 44 students received immunization, with 94 vaccines given by nurses from the UG, 200 UG Health Department, and the Kansas City Public School nurses. 221 students received eye screenings by Lions Club. 61 students referred eyeglasses paid for by the center's First Hand Foundation. 35 exhibitors shared information on services for students and families. 289 volunteers supported the fair. Many students earned community service hours. 2019 nutritious snacks served by the school district to attendees. 46 haircuts provided by Lifestyle Beauty Services. Dental screenings were provided by Adams Dental Group and KC Dental. Again, we say thank you. We appreciate the use of the campus and the excellent staff support provided to services to the students. Without your support and that of the community, the fair would not be possible. And there were some pictures attached. My understanding, the lines were around the building, and it was an excellent event, and we were happy to be a part of that back-to-school fair. And I just wanted you to know we're doing great things, and we want to continue to do that for our community. Thank you. We had a couple of other recognitions we wanted, but Dr. Kramer is not here, and he wants to do that, so we'll skip that and go back at a later time. Do we have any board committee reports? Don, you want to report on the KCKCC this weekend?
Well, yeah, most all of us were there, but for those that weren't, we had the meeting in Highland this past weekend. We had a working session and presentation from Dr. Ed Berger, who's retired president from Hutch Community College, but he's now a state senator, so he's one of our strong advocates in the legislature in Topeka, and then also from our lobbyist firm, Allie Devine with Devine and Donnelly. And then we had a nice dinner and social time at the barn. You have to ask somebody who went about the barn if you want to know about the barn. It's a cool place. And we met separately on Saturday morning. The presidents met, the trustees met. We worked through a few housekeeping issues and things, but basically we accepted the audit. We got an update on the budget. The association in a very strong position. We're in good shape there. We approved hosting the Legislative Summit in Washington, D.C. at the ACCT Legislative Summit in February, so we'll be hosting a reception again for that. And we learned that the PTK program this year, where's Stace? I know she's out there, has been moved to March. So it will not be on Thursday the same week of Legislative Summit. It only took me 12 years to get that moved, so
Great.
yeah, better late than never, right? So
Yeah.
so anyway, pretty strong attendance. The next meeting is in December at Independence Community College in Independence, Kansas. In the meantime, we are preparing to attend the ACCT National Congress, which is in New York City this year. Begins on October 23rd or 24th, I believe, through the 27th. So I think, once again, many or most of us are attending that. And
Any
that's it, unless you have any questions.
What date is the December meeting?
If you go to kacct.org, I don't know off the top of my head, Linda,
Okay.
but normally it's the first or second weekend
Okay.
of the month.
Right.
And I think the last time we were in Indy, it was a Sunday afternoon and evening into Monday morning at noon format. But I don't know if that is the same. I'll see if I can find out for you while we're in the meeting here.
Okay. I'll go to the website and look it up. Thank
Yeah,
you.
look on calendars there
Okay.
or events, and it'll have it there. That's it.
Thank you very
Unless there are
much.
any questions.
All right, any other committee?
The Finance Committee met, Madam Chair, and just a couple things that we spoke about. One was the daycare. We got some clarity on on moving forward with at least the committees that are going to be looking into the daycare as an option for next year. So that's moving forward. President has taken a great leadership role in making sure that that's moving forward. And I guess he'd been doing some things along the way in that regard, along with some other committees that have been working on some of those things. So that's continuing to move forward, is that daycare conversation and transitioning it from a daycare to an early childhood development or learning center is the direction that we've all agreed that we would like to see it go. And the Finance Committee was just basically wanting to get some updates on what the cost would be, just short-term and long-term, and the sustainability. So look to have some information on that as we move forward. Police Department came up, and I know staff is looking into identifying from our Chief of Police some needs that may be brought back up to the board for consideration to address some of the resource needs that were made known to the Finance Committee. And then on two good notes, if you look around our college, it's really looking nice. I noticed that some of our staff members, as well as some citizens, have told me that's just the great work that's been put into making our college look presentable as far as the upgrades that are obvious. So so that's ongoing, as well as the parking lot that came up. And then just the really good news is that just proud to announce that we've got a real good staff of individuals that handle our budget, and we actually are with a slight budget surplus this year, something that that we can all be proud of, that we've operated in budget, and I like to say, and on time with all our projects, and we actually got somewhat of a surplus that I'm sure that that staff will bring us up to speed on later. But those are the main issues that were brought up in the Finance Committee meeting. So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Now, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now, we will go to our reports from the Student Senate. Ms. Aaliyah Shaw is the president.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It was a little weird to say that, but it's kind of nice.
Is it on?
Is that on?
Is it on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's on.
There we go. Okay, is that better? All right. Also, I wanted to introduce someone pretty special here to our campus environment, Blue. It's actually the first time that our mascot is here at a Board of Trustee meeting, so just to bring that spirit here in the evening. I really like that. So he's here for support. But just to go through a timeline of activities, I put this in the August report, but just to talk about our executive team has shaped up pretty well for Student Senate. We met outside of campus and really got everything together for our meetings, and also to plan what we're going to be doing for our student meetings for about 3 meetings out. So we have our communications plan, such as also our actual agenda. We have a lot of things planned for that. On the first day that school was in session, which is August 20th, we hosted a grocery bingo, which was a different way to engage students. We had, basically, it was a lot of great participation, but it was sort of catered to student housing. But we ended up basically all students were, of course, welcome just with their student ID. And so it was a great retention. It was nice to engage students in a different way than what we're used to. A lot of the times we do events on holidays, or we may have events here, but it was in the evening, so we were able to engage a lot more students than we usually do, because a lot of the things we do are throughout the day, especially during like class times that we see a lot of students here on campus. And another big event that we had was the Welcome Back Bash, which was September 5th. We were very, very excited about that. Despite the bad weather, we had a really, really, really great turnout. We had a lot of activities, continuous club sign up, and we also were able to register some voters. One of the clubs also did that as well, so engaging students in a lot of different ways. We had staff, faculty, and I noticed a few administration. Some people I had seen there was like President Mosier, Dean Darrett, and Dr. Kramer were some of the ones that stood out, so it was great seeing them engaging students in that way. Just to name a few, there were about 15 clubs there that were engaging with the students and signing them up, 20 community exhibitors, and 5 KCKCC departments. So we had a pretty good variety and diverse section of people who were engaging the students while they were there. So they weren't just seeing clubs, they were seeing people from the community, a lot of really great outreach, as well as departments that probably handle or work with students constantly. So altogether, we had about 450 Blue Devils throughout that time, and that was 11 to 2, which was a little bit longer than last year, but with the weather, we were trying to make a little bit more accommodations. But it was a great turnout, even though it was pouring. I know a lot of us got wet, but it was really, really nice. And so if you turn to the handout with our calendars on it, with our dates on it, sorry. Some of the events coming up this week would be the evening reception from 5:30 to 7:30. So that's specifically for the night students to engage them and welcome them back to school. We have a dessert kind of competition as well. We always do a competition there, so they get to taste different desserts while they're there, also get a good meal, meet us, the executive team for Student Senate, and also meet Ms. Enrica Wilcoxon. And Friday, September 21st, we'll have the graduation candidate meeting in Lower Jewel. And so I think this is an effective tool to get students thinking about their next steps. I know that I am someone that considers myself a graduate candidate, so that's my way of kind of preparing myself and just to get logistical things for students to really start thinking about those next steps for graduation or what requirements they'll have by spring semester. So I'm really, really excited for that because I know that I need it. And so our first Student Senate meeting of the year, which was very, very well attended as expected. We had communications from Dr. Mosier, who was there. We also had Amanda Williams from the Learning Commons. And so we were really excited for that because with Amanda, we were able to talk about the new facilities that they have in the Learning Commons and also let clubs and students know the resources that they have over there now. So it was nice to be able to communicate that with them. I know some students went after the meeting to see the new facilities, so it was great. We had free ice cream. We talked about club expectations. So we kind of missed being in front of the students. We were preparing this whole summer, so it was nice to finally have that meeting and talk to the clubs about some of the requirements they had. And another thing that student activities and specifically Ms. Hendrika has been working really hard on is our Student Leadership Institute. Ms. Hendrika modeled the institute after the Kansas Community College Leadership Institute, which you all probably know as KCKCC. And this is specifically catered to students and which I believe we are the first to do so, to create a leadership institute for students specifically. This is our third year of activity, and so a few of the organizations or departments that worked with us was Honors, Workforce, and the Counseling and Advocacy Center. If you look at the small handout, it has a little bit of information about what the Leadership Institution looks like, and also a lot of the workshops that have already gone on and are going to continue throughout the semester. And so the workshops are definitely catered to building leadership skills within our students, which is but also developing interpersonal communication skills, public speaking, also building relationships and also understanding what good relationship building is, and also just working with good workforce skills as well. And another aspect of this is developing a co-curricular transcript, which is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It gives students an opportunity to keep track of their engagement with co-curriculars here at KCKCC specifically. One thing Ms. Enrica kind of emphasizes that our GPA is no longer enough sometimes, especially if you're deciding to get a scholarship from a college, your engagement with the school, your service, and what you're doing here, that can be a deciding factor. And so the Leadership Institute is just one way to add that to your co-curricular transcript and just showcase the college or wherever that you are engaging in a different way and not in a conventional way outside of just academia. And just to emphasize a little bit more about that, we're also turning it into a 1-hour course, which is the second 8 weeks. It'll start in October. It's going to be a 1 credit hour course. As you can see, there's a lot of dates outlined and a lot of information to learn from those workshops. And we'll also have another one in the spring. And so as time goes on, there's more and more students that are coming and developing, so we try to do it at specific times and work with departments as best as they can. Another incentive to go to Leadership Institute is also free lunch. And so, students really, really like that. But also, they're just getting a lot of great information and a lot of great tools to help them move to the next level. So I've been a beneficiary of this Leadership Institute, and I hope to join the class in the spring. And so that's all I have for today, but as you can see, we still have a lot more outlined throughout the semester, and we will continue, and so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sounds like it was a great start. Question?
Leah, before you leave,
Oh, sorry. I know.
the Leadership Institute, how
How do students get involved? Can any student get into it, and how do they enroll in it?
Okay, so with the Leadership Institute, it's actually in the Learning Commons, and basically the students just start attending the workshops. It's based on what their schedule is, what their availability is, and that's why I really like it. It's because, like, the workshops are there. They're there for the students, but they utilize it as best as they can, as much they can. So, like, some of the workshops I can attend due to my school schedule, but it's just there, and, like, there's a lot of opportunities outside of that and different times for students to attend. So anyone can attend, yeah.
So there's like 36 seminars they have to attend.
Yeah, looks like a.
12, and do 10 hours of community service to get the certificate.
Yes.
But anybody can be in it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Student, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? I know I left pretty early. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for the big job.
Yay, Blue Devils.
That's right. All right. Looking
I think we
good.
need to take a selfie with him personally.
You could probably do that.
Guess they're here just for that, huh? All right, now have a report by our president, Dr. Greg Mosher.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What a terrific student president, huh?
Yep.
Yes. So, she's still listening, Miss Shaw. Yeah. So on a day yet to be announced, we will be doing a presidential swap. So I am very, very afraid if I can keep up with her schedule. So more information to follow, but that's
Okay.
going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, it should be.
Sounds
Yeah.
like fun.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So as Trustee Brown mentioned just a little bit earlier, we had the grand opening for our Veterans Center, and I'd say if you have not been down to take a look at it, you really, really should. It's right below us in Lower Jewel, just off to the north. So swing by, say hello to Mr. Abel, and he will give you a tour, I'm sure. So lots of activities going on at the college. We're in week 5, so the semester is just flying right along. Yesterday, led by faculty member Dr. Iwa Inoke and the Constitution Committee, KCKCC presented really an incredible performance and an opportunity to celebrate an important moment in the U.S. history, which is Constitution Day. Highlights of the day was a performance by actors reenacting the life of Harriet Tubman entitled A Triumph of the Spirit, and attending by KCKCC students, faculty, staff, and community members. Opportunities were also provided for individuals to register to vote. So that was a very nice day. We also received word just this week that a national website called Zippia, who analyzes public data and looks at job posting sites, KCKCC was announced as the 6th best place to work in Kansas City. So quite an honor, and it just goes to the hard work that everyone is doing here on campus. And then with some of our transfer information, each year Emporia State University provides KCKCC a transfer report on students who started at Kansas City, Kansas Community College and then transferred to Emporia State. So just a little while ago, we received our report on 81 students that have transferred to ESU, and I'm really pleased to announce how well they are doing. When looking at the average GPA of all ESU undergraduate students, their GPA is a 3.10 for the term. The GPA for our KCKCC transfer students is a 3.26.
Wow.
So just showing you the great success of our community college systems and what we're doing here at the college. We're also getting very heavily involved in preparation for our Higher Learning Commission accreditation visit, which will take place spring 2020. We have a steering committee created and criterion teams to identify and address each of the 5 criterion by HLC standards. And it's always good to have board involvement in the accreditation process, if possible. So we're inviting any of the trustees to participate in our HLC accreditation data creation process. I can send out additional information, but we're looking for board support and engagement, if possible, in 3 different areas that really reflect the responsibilities and the oversight provided by the board. First is criterion 1, mission, and that's that the institution's mission is clear and articulated publicly. It guides the institution's operations. The second criterion is criterion 2, integrity, ethical and responsible conduct. And the third is criterion 5, resources, planning, and institutional effectiveness. So I'll follow this up in an email, and if you are interested in participating, please just let Chair Brown and I know. Most of the meetings are in the daytime, but I can follow up with additional information on how frequently they take place and what some of the needs are. We also received very good news about our TRIO program. KCKCC was approved for continuation of the U.S. Department of Education TRIO grant. As you know, this grant provides services and support for some of our for students with disadvantaged backgrounds. Additionally, the total funds allocated to the college this year increased, allowing us to serve more students. So we will have 6 additional slots for our TRIO students, providing a total of 146 students that we'll be able to serve this year. A few upcoming events. Thursday, September 27th, KCKCC is hosting the Deans and Directors meeting of community and continuing education programs for Kansas community colleges. Friday, September 28th, we are also hosting the Business West Luncheon. That'll be at the Tech Conference Room. For this meeting, I'll be the keynote presenter, talking about the great programs and services community colleges provide across the country, and especially KCKCC. And I'll also be sharing a few, of the many great things we're doing here on campus and how we're looking at providing more services and programs for our community. And then lastly, October 3rd through October 5th, KCKCC will be hosting the American Technical Education Association Region 5 Conference. That will also be at the Tech Conference Room. And this meeting will be pulling together faculty, staff, administration, and presidents from across the Midwest region to discuss strategies to meet the ever-increasing job demand. And also this year, Mr. Cliff Smith was chosen to serve as the ATAA's on the Board of Trustees. So congratulations to Cliff. I don't think he's here right now. There he is. We're very glad to have you on that committee. So lots of things taking place and many more good things to come.
Great. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the accept the President's report?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we accept the President's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we'll hear from the Marketing and Community Outreach Report. Ms. Tammy Bartunik.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. So you have the full report in front of you, but just to highlight a couple of things. We kicked off the Family Fund. It's the annual giving platform for our faculty and staff just a couple weeks ago. When we started, we had approximately 2% of our faculty and staff giving through this platform called the Family Fund. As of yesterday, we were almost at 10%. Our goal, I would love to get 100%. But we will do this in increments. So we're super excited to go from 2% to almost 10% really in just a couple of weeks. So I really want to applaud our faculty and staff for jumping in. And we are doing, we will have annual family photos as part of this, this family. So I think it's the 28th. We're having a family photo with the president. And we have some really cool Rockin' Family Fun t-shirts that we're going to get to wear and have a dress down day. So really exciting. Super, super happy about that coming along. You might see that no one from my staff is here tonight because they're getting a check. So they are at the Lions Club this evening picking up a very, very gracious donation from them for $25,000. Wow. So we're honored to receive that gift from the Lions Club.
Is that the local Lions Club? here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What else? What else? All of our social media is ticking up, so happy to see we're getting engagement. We're having a lot of activity through our social media. All of our Twitter, Facebook, everything is up currently, so we're really happy to see that as well. And in the packet, you have some of the highlighted posts from last month. And there's one other thing I wanted to tell y'all. Usually I print this off and I have everything circled and highlighted with smiley faces, but I didn't do that today. A new marketing vertical. I think last month I talked about we are looking and examining our marketing at this point, as we do every cycle. And we have added a new vertical. And the theme is KCKCC is everywhere. So what we're doing is we're going out to the field. We're going to go see our employers, our local employers who have hired our Blue Devils, and we will film commercials built around that. So on board we have Providence Medical Center, we have St. John's Hospital, and we have Hollywood Casino, all of which have more than a dozen or more Blue Devils working in the facility. So we're going to be able to film our students, now their employees, in the field, and then we're going to talk to their managers, and the question is, why did you hire a Blue Devil? What stood out? How is KCKCC providing you with the workforce you need? So look for that to come in Q1. We have filming coming up starting in October for that.
Great.
And that's really the highlights. Any questions?
Yeah, I like the TV advertising you're going to do. KCKCC is everywhere. When I read that, I thought I really like that. That's going to get us a lot of exposure. And you said on TV channels. My question is it going to be on specific channels or all the local, the
No.
3 major networks? Or
No, it runs primarily on 38, and it will
Okay.
also run on our YouTube channel and on our Google channel.
Okay, I just want to know where to look for it.
Thank you.
And where to tell other people to look for it.
Yes,
Yes,
of course. Tell your
exactly.
friends and
Yeah.
neighbors.
That's right.
All right, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the report
So moved.
by the marketing committee?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We need to skip that again?
We can go on.
Okay. This is the first time I get to skip for real. Usually I just forget, but this time we're going to skip the academic affairs report until he gets here. Now we'll have a report from, student affairs report from Dr. Wilson.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Afternoon.
I think we started this evening with a little updates about student events and activities that have been going on campus. So obviously we kicked off the fall semester with a bang. A couple of other things that we mentioned last month when I came up here, I talked to you a little bit about the My Majors. And I shared with you that we were anxiously waiting to see if we were going to be selected for a pilot program with them. So we have been selected to participate for a 1-year pathway pilot with My Majors. Just as a quick recap, My Majors is funded by the National Science Foundation, and we will be one of a few selected community colleges that are going to pilot their software program, in a sense, that will be embedded into our website that will allow potential students, so applicants and current students, to take a 15-minute assessment survey that will kind of tie their skills, their interests, their abilities into some of the programs that we offer here at the college. And it's going to be up to us, but one of the other things that we can do is if the results come back and it's a program that we don't offer, we can also provide information about what some of our partnering schools offer, some programs that they offer, or other schools that we have articulation agreements with. So we're really excited. We had our first meeting with My Majors today, just to kind of get a recap. Dr. Jarrett and Dr. Terry and I spoke over phone with My Majors just to get an idea of what to expect. They're going to be coming to campus to work with, obviously, our web team and our IT department. They will be, like I said, embedding and branding a special link for us. We will be mymajors.kckcc.com. So I will continue to keep you updated on that. We will work a lot also with the student success advisors and the admissions department, because their feedback is pretty much what's going to kind of guide what we put on the website and what information the prospect students or current students get back. So this is a retention and a recruitment strategy that hopefully we'll be able to find useful. Yes, sir.
First of all, congratulations on it.
Thank you.
But how are students going to find out about it?
Well, once we have everything up and going, I think one of the good ways is we can talk with our Tammy and see what she recommends. But one of the things that I think we can do is send out a message campus-wide to let students know. We can also let students know during their freshman seminar course. So maybe I can speak with the coordinator of the freshman seminar course so that they can inform students about that survey. So I don't know yet. I think there'll just be a couple of things that we'll just have to kind of work as a team, maybe work with the academic deans to give us some ideas as what do they think are good ways to get that information out for our current students. And then obviously for future students, we can put this link in as many places as we want to on our website. So there's a couple of places that they suggest, like front page, right? Places where admissions landing page. So when someone goes to the admissions landing page, I'll be there. Under academics, our landing page for programs would be another place. So hopefully we'll be able to get it out there enough where we can track how many individuals are actually using this link. So, and that's another thing, we'll have full access to that data, and it'll tell us how many used it, where they found it from, what programs they were referred to. So,
Any chance that it would be extended another year? Like some longitudinal data would be pretty good for them to know too.
possibility is kind of what they're saying, that we want to start with 1 year and see what happens moving forward, if it's extended or maybe at a discount rate moving forward. But nothing
guarantees.
guarantees. No guarantees.
So we just have to put our best foot forward.
Yes,
All
yes.
right, great.
Other than that, moving forward with our enrollment, we are, as of yesterday, our fall enrollment is up just right at 1% or so, 0.95 in head count, which is about 56 students. And our credit hours are up about also just under 1% for an increase of 97 credit hours. So when we kind of compare ourselves to the 20th day last fall, we have an additional 55 more students than we did, and 107 more credit hours. So we're kind of holding really positive, looking forward to additional second semester courses that we can pick up some additional students in that route. In particular, the criminal justice students, which I understand will join us for the second 8 weeks this semester. And then under your, I think, future or upcoming messages, I think on your notes, I saw that you have on there that I will be doing, or that we will be, under unfinished business, I'm sorry, the CESI presentation from Dr. Wilson. I think someone asked me what that was. So I just remind you that CESI is the Community College Survey of Student Engagement. We went through that process during the spring semester. Dr. Terry helped lead that effort by working with the deans and working with the faculty, making sure that we got those surveys out to our students. The results were in last month, so we actually have the results. We're purposely holding on to the results until we have an opportunity to work with the academic deans, to work with the faculty, to kind of come up with some strategies as to things that we can do. So we want to share the results with you, but we also want to share at the same time some of the top priorities and things that we're going to do to address some of the things that come up. So that ends my report. If you guys have any questions.
Any other questions?
Move approval to
I-
accept,
I-
or
what-
maybe accept the report.
Well, I have a question. I noticed that there's on the financial aid report, it said that the House passed an annual counseling bill. How will that affect the financial aid office? I know now when they get a loan or something, they have that first interview, but now this looks like that they will have an annual interview. Will we need to hire additional help? How is that going to impact the
Yeah.
financial aid office?
Trustee Stein, that's a good question. I don't know if, Stephen, if you know if Mary is here, do you know?
It's a great question. So there's always changes that are going on at the federal government around financial aid and gainful employment data, and that we're not in any kind of predatory practices around having students take out more financial aid than they need. And so this is another opportunity for us to work with our financial aid literacy programs so that our students are able to understand what they need to use in order to be successful in their programs. And so this is a mandate that's being put down that once a year that these students will go through a financial aid counseling type session. And we're going to work together with our great friend Peter Gabriel here on how we can do that interactively through an IT developed software program. And so our current program for financial aid literacy is called SALT. And that actually this is our last term to use SALT,
Okay.
and then we're picking up this new financial aid literacy program in the spring, and so we're looking at different options right now for that.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Do either of you know what our CFI number is?
So are you specifically about our loan default rate? So we're right around 11% for our student loan default rate, which is one of the lowest in the
Exactly.
nation. And so if you look
Exactly.
across the other state community colleges, you'll see them somewhere between 13 and 15% on their default rate. And we're hovering right around 11%. And we're actually recognized as one of the best practices. And we have everything from a financial aid exclusion and committee. Our great folks in financial aid are always working to make sure that students aren't taking out more than they need through counseling and advising. Then we also have this great program that's run through the University of Kansas, and they actually, through their TRIO program, send out financial aid counselors to help students through FAFSA
Yeah.
and understanding financial literacy, and they do that 2 days a week here for free for us, meeting with our students. So we have a lot of great programs that are going around to make sure that our students are getting the support that they need and then making educated, responsible decisions.
So that came up at Highland, we were talking about that, those of you, that's the number I had in my memory.
That's great. Yeah, you did it right.
I just wanted to be sure I was giving you all the right number, and that is a great number. Yeah, that's a great number.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Terry.
No other questions?
I made the motion.
Okay, you made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I saw Dr. Crane.
Yes, there you
Is he ready, or you want?
Are you ready?
Okay, we'll go back to Academic Affairs report by Dr. Kramer.
Thank you all. Sorry for coming in late.
Welcome.
But everything went well.
Welcome.
So,
All right.
That's what I want to hear at the dentist. But I would like to introduce two new deans to the board, and that is, I'll introduce Cheryl first. Chef Cheryl Runnebaum, who's now our Dean of Technology and Workforce Development.
Congratulations.
Let her tell you about her first few days, and then I'll introduce her. You want to come up? Tell them how your first day is.
She's not used to this. She's-
I'm not. I thought I could just wave and it would be great. So it's quite an honor to be standing here, and I really appreciate the trust that everyone has in me to lead the dynamic team with technology, community education, and workforce development. So I'm excited. We're doing great things. I've had a lot of meetings, working on making some game plans for the future and moving forward. So thank you.
Congratulations. And now I'd like to introduce Cecilia Brewer. Dean Cecilia is coming to us from the University of Central Missouri, and she's going to come up and say hello. And you all wanted to be introduced to her, so. And I'm very glad that we were able to steal her away from my alma mater. She hopefully did a great job.
Well, I'm super happy to be here. So excited to have the team that I've been blessed with, and very action-minded individuals who are so dedicated to student engagement and student success. So I'm just ready to get going and just happy to be here.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Congratulations. Looking forward to working with you.
You have the rest of my report, and things are going well. Dr. Mosier and I met with Family Conservancy today regarding the Child Care Center
Well,
and some
salute.
plans to work
All right.
forward on that. And
All right.
that was a new thing that wasn't in my report, but it does speak to Chef Cheryl had gone with Dr. Mosier out to visit Amazon, and child care was a big piece to them.
Excellent.
And working right away, lots of meetings, as Cheryl said, working on HLC, the assurance arguments for that, working on learning-based task force, and just several pieces. I was able to go up to the USDB last week and present to, well, there were supposed to be I think it was 44 inmates who were finishing certificates and apprenticeships, but they had a power outage, so about half of them were able to get accounted for and back into the space in terms of time from when we did things. But it was really a great event. I mean, the barbering school that's up there, they had 3 the inmates that actually finished their barbering instruction apprenticeship, which was, to me, a really cool thing. But almost every one of those apprenticeships was over 2,000 hours. And it was just amazing. It's a big change to them. And so it was good to be able to encourage them and tell them thanks for their hard work and to keep moving forward. We do have, within that apprenticeship program, we're working on adding other aspects in, but we currently do things with their welding shop and the apprenticeship, and with not at the detention barracks, but at the JRCF, having some classes in serve safe for culinary, and we're working towards. They had a variety of apprenticeship programs. The barbering one will be good once we get things moved forward on our barbering program, and then we can add. We're working on graphic arts now to try and figure out some things there. Working on CAD, and we're also working on some things with some. And I think we already do this on a couple of the classes in their wood shop, and then also going to be looking at office assistant and some things that we do within that program. So it's a great thing, and I appreciate the chance to go up and talk to them. So.
Any questions?
Yeah, I did. Could you, and you probably don't know this, but the GED and ESL enrollment, can you give us some statistics on, are we staying flat in those numbers, or are we getting more and more students? Or
I think we're getting more students, but I would like to defer that, and I'll bring you a report for like the last 4 or 5 years, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But I know that we're filling out those spaces, and we're also continuing to do the Spanish GED work in concert with El Centro,
Right.
and where we provide the instructor and offer it to them. And I will get you a report in my next month, or I can even send you
Yeah, it'd be
something
nice
a
to
little
just see
earlier.
where we're going.
Absolutely,
Report.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm envisioning Amazon's KCKCC Child Care Center. I've got a vision. Got a vision of it, all right? It's going to be huge.
That would be
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
And on that note, can you were,
It's
Mr.
gonna be
President, could
huge.
you kind of bring us up to speed on thoughts or maybe takeaways with the Early Childhood Development Center, just as you've gone to these meetings, just some of your thoughts of where we're at this point?
Sure. I was going to say, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I did not cue Dr. Kramer up for that question, nor did I pay him any money to promote what we were doing. Just to make sure, complete transparency. So we've had some really good conversations around child care and looking at the opportunity to bring our child care center back online for fall 2019. So we're having conversations with a couple business entities, one being Amazon, who has a significant need for child care. With the rotating shifts they have around the clock, 24/7, a lot of their employees just cannot be retained because of child care. And it's so expensive that people have a hard time paying for it. Child care costs may be upwards to $10,000 a year. So if you're a single parent and you're making $16,000, $20,000 a year, it's just out of reach. So we're having conversations, and we had conversations with Family Conservancy about 6 weeks ago or so, and then also met with them today. They have that new grant, that Start Strong grant, and we're looking at ways that we might be able to partner with them and a private child care provider, a joint partnership in our facility. So conversation is very young with that. We left the meeting today with next steps being to put together a timeline, a team to identify an RFP for what will go out, and then how we will look to have someone in place for a possible fall 2019 start. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll have a more definite timeline, but conversations so far have been very positive.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I just had a question. I noticed in your report it says that Dr. Nair is working on Emporia State to explore the possibility of articulation agreement. Do we still have the 2+2 program with Emporia? Is this?
We do, but right now it's been predominantly sending students to the Johnson County facility, or in conjunction. I mean, they take a lot of their classes here still, but a big portion of it is still done at Johnson County Community College, and they would like to get back and explore the possibility of doing something here.
Great.
And working with USD 500 to identify how to do that as well, because USD 500 is very big on, in one of their career pathways of wanting to do elementary ed. And one of the things that's also coming out of that is obviously just the need for more certified teachers, and Emporia is seeing the possibility of doing that. And I think we, at least in my mind, I would like to parlay that with some things, but Donnelly College had an elementary ed bachelor's degree that they got approved 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe even 5 now, but they're not going to be able to continue that. So I'd like to be able to kind of bring all 3 of those groups together with the college and try to figure out a best practice so that we
Okay.
can move that
Thank you.
forward.
Could we possibly have some follow-up to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we're in the early stages. We met a couple times with, I know Dr. Vietti met with Emporia when they came through, and it's just trying to connect the dots of getting the Emporia rep up here so that we can really sit down and do it. And we also have a similar thing going on with K-State, who we put in a grant with. We haven't heard back yet, but a grant for similar stuff on their elementary ed. So there's a lot of things moving on certification of teachers and the need for more, especially in our district right here.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion to accept the report?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry about this. I had another question for Dr. Wilson, if, I'm sorry.
Dr. Wilson, can you come back?
Yes, sir.
Pardon me.
Students?
Not only can she
Yeah,
will.
she will. In your report on students requesting accommodation, there was a really significant increase in that, and learning disabled went from 24 to 83 this year, and overall 7,267. Are we doing a better job of identifying those students, or are we making our accommodation better known? Because I think it's a great thing. It
Right.
shows that we're providing those services for students who need them. I'm just curious how we had that kind of jump this year.
I would say, and I'm going to let Sean add too, but I would say that we're doing a better job of making sure that our students know that that service is out there,
Okay.
and encouraging students to self-identify.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we wait for them to come to us and let us know if there's a disability or if they're requesting an accommodation of sorts. So I think that getting the word out is, happening more often, and students are feeling a little more comfortable
Good.
to being able to come forward and requesting some accommodations. Sean, would you?
I'd add to that. One of the initiatives that Alex and Robert has been doing is that they've been meeting with their counterparts in the high schools. So those individuals in the high schools are pointing out our services on our campus, so the students are identifying us before they even graduate, so they know that they're here. They're also inviting them onto our campus to meet with them. And then I also want to believe that part of that is that the change of our name, so that's made us that office a little bit more open to all students, so students aren't looking at it as, I don't want to go there. By going there, I'm identifying that I have a disability. So they're going in and are able to go in under the title of just Student Accessibility Support Services.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a great,
good.
great to see.
Yeah, it's a greatly underserved population, but we're getting them. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great to know. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Information Services Report. Mr. Peter Gabriel.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You should have my report available, and I just have a couple things I wanted to mention. We just finished receiving I want to call it the second phase, but the second implementation of new desktops. In fact, I just took that group to Leavenworth today, so that brings us up to a total of 255 new machines on campus. Those are the same machines, actually, that are in the Veterans Center in their lab area there. So we've, I want to say 50 of the second 75, 50 went to tech in the automotive area, and 25 to Leavenworth, and that should just about clear up everything at tech and Leavenworth. We still have some work to do here on main campus, but we'll reassess the numbers after that and see where we're at. I wanted to thank my team for getting all of those out in a short amount of time. I would imagine the 75 that we have, that we just basically got in this week, will probably be out by the end of the week, if not the middle of next week. So, and we have plenty of other projects going at the same time. So it's, for a small group, that's quite a number of computers for them to not only put out the new ones, but take back the old ones and recycle those in a good way. And I also just wanted to thank Randy, our Director of Media Services, for his efforts putting this together and streaming our board meeting and working with a couple other things that have been happening on campus this week. So I want to say I appreciate his team and all their effort. So, and I'll take any questions if you have them.
Any question?
I just had one. I was just looking at the help desk statistics. Is that a 24/7 service, or does it have limited hours or days of week for the services?
It's limited where someone is here on campus. We have someone basically from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then on Saturday until about 2.
Until 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Move approval of the report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah.
We appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you.
Indeed.
All right. Now we will have our Human Resources Officer report from Ms. Christina McGee.
Good afternoon.
Good
Hello.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, you have the report in front of you. We're still working on the same initiatives from last month, so the compensation structure, continuing to work on our policies, as well as the hiring process. Some new initiatives that we've started this month and started having discussions about is revamping our new employee orientation so that we can better onboard employees to the KCKCC culture. And also working and providing supervisors with resources on how to better onboard employees. So it doesn't just stop at human resources, but also making sure that supervisors are engaged as well. The next initiative that we're also working on is training. Under training and development, that was training and development, but also supervisor training. I think that that's a critical area in which we need to make sure that our supervisors have resources, making sure that they are equipped to really supervise. And so we want to make sure that we're providing them with the best practices information, and so that way that they continue to coach and be successful in their roles and coach their employees to be successful. So we started discussions and a draft for that training, and hopefully we'll have implementation in March. Implementation in the first training session in March, but right now we're just in discussions and building the content and structure. We also are going to introduce, I believe in the past we've had exit interviews, we've kind of updated that survey to better capture information from our employees that are leaving and where we can identify opportunities here at KCKCC. But we're also going to introduce stay interviews, or what I call stay interviews, is so after a 30-day period, we follow up and check in with employees to see how they're doing, if there's areas where we can improve, or what are we doing well, so that we can continue to do that. So that's what we're working on right now, and I'll open it up for any questions.
Quick question about the training. Is that going to be developed and delivered in-house, or will you all be seeking an
It will be
outside?
in-house.
In-house? Okay. All right. Thank you.
I think that's excellent because I know that a lot of times people assume that employees know what to do, and if you don't check on them, then they're like, well, I never got that.
Right.
I didn't hear about that,
Mhm.
That wasn't given to me when I started. So
Right.
I think that's excellent. So
Right.
it's good for
Agreed.
them. And we're one of the best employers in the area, so we got to stay that way.
Right.
Stay that way. Any other questions?
I got a question.
Sure.
When you talk about exit interviews and stay interviews,
Mhm.
what's that complaint process look like? If an employee has a complaint of various natures, what's that process?
So typically, out of the stay interviews, if we were to receive, if an employee comes to us and they say, I've had this issue with my supervisor, or I've had this issue with an employee while I was here, and that information comes out in the exit interview or even the stay interview, what we would do as HR is follow up on that complaint. And so our employee relations manager or myself will follow up with the employee, will identify and get the details surrounding the concern, and then we will initiate, depending upon what the complaint is, an investigation or just a preliminary review of the matter. So right now, there is not a specific policy or process that's been identified, other than HR takes that on to follow up with regards to the concern.
Any other questions? Get a motion to accept the report? Nobody wants to
So
accept
moved.
the report?
Second.
I couldn't hear down there.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we will have a report from our Finance Administrative Services Report, Mr. Mike Beach.
As I sat down, Tammy Bartunik told me that the glasses make me look smart.
Ah, awesome. Okay.
Um,
I wouldn't trust that.
Oh, well, let me put mine on there.
Yeah. Just a couple quick updates. You have my report in front of you, but we are currently in the process of undergoing our annual financial audit. The auditors are here on campus throughout the remainder of this week. They did the foundation last week and got started on us, and they'll finish the college here this week. Parking lot resurfacing project is complete despite the weather. They had the Amino brothers pulled out all the stops and did their very best to have that parking lot completely resurfaced despite all of the setbacks by the time school was open, and they missed it just by a couple of days. But if it hadn't have been for some last-minute rainstorms there, they would have made it, which was amazing. It was great to work with them in that capacity and as they did that project. We did have finally got with KCATA and got the UPass renewed. It's a 2-year agreement. It's a fixed price amount, so it won't go up next year. It only went up a couple $1,000s this year over what it was.
Good.
And the college made the decision to absorb that price in the budget rather than charge it to the students as part of a fee. So I just wanted to give you an update there. The bookstore continues to do great. They've had a great fall so far with an overall increase in sales. And even though they've had an increase in sales, they've also had a savings to students by renting more textbooks. Students are looking, as we know, in every avenue they can to save money, and textbook rentals are usually less expensive than buying. So the students have saved approximately $17,600 so far this fall by renting more textbooks over what they were last year. Our buildings and ground crew stays busy with all of the remodels. Our couple of dean's areas and offices downstairs are nearing completion. The parking lot, as I indicated, is completed, and they're working on the bore for the lighting arrangements there for the light poles. So those light poles will all be outfitted for cameras for surveillance and have all the electrical wiring there for them. The Veterans Center is
almost complete. We did the ribbon cutting today, and we'll finish off the last little tidbits there. A couple of remodels in the Learning Commons to bring it up to date, relating to some offices there that were part of that project, and now the offices are needing to be built out. We put in some new lighting fixtures in the athletic facilities. There we go. Despite the glasses, I still need to enlarge this. So some great efforts on buildings and grounds. There's some projects there that they'll be starting and getting underway here in the not too distant future. Our police department is doing a marvelous job. We still have a couple of new officers that we hired that are in the academy. Looking forward to their completion and being able to take on their role here as part of the division. Our police officers, our hats go off to them. They extended their hours and really did a great job, I think, assisting students in welcome back and making sure that ID badges and gate passes and everything were available to them. They were there to assist with move-in and to help accommodate that. And they've been busy responding to calls. So they're doing a great job here on campus for us in their efforts. We have now Cliff Smith, who was Dean of Operations of Tech, that has joined the Facility Services Group here on campus, and we acknowledged Cliff earlier. Cliff has been instrumental in helping to facilitate the transition of facilities operations from what was being predominantly handled at Tech to now college-wide. His role will be expanded, or I've already asked him to expand his role to take on all of the aspects of risk management relating to campus, since most of our risks are insurable, and a lot of that insurable risk and exposure is relating to our facilities. It makes perfect sense that he take on that role and be responsible for risk management here at KCKCC. Cliff is also part of the strategic planning committee, steering committee, and as he participates there, he will also be responsible for coordinating the build-out of a facilities or college-wide infrastructure strategic plan that will support the campus's overall or the college's overall strategic plan. So we're looking forward to being able to have a campus master strategic plan relating to the build-out of all of our infrastructures and our needs, and to making sure that we're keeping up with what our needs are relating to buildings and infrastructure. Well, that's my report. Do you have any questions?
I actually have two. They're two different subject matters. The first one is around Cliff's expanded role. You mentioned risk management. I know that some organizations will blend risk management with the practice of business continuity disaster recovery. And I was just wondering, is Cliff's role also going to include the business continuity disaster recovery function, or is that something separate? Or
it will be a joint effort. So that aspect, the business continuity and interruption and everything that goes with it, will have an IT component, a finance component, a facilities component, and a public safety component.
Okay.
So when we're looking at an overall plan, it's going to be an interdivisional plan.
Excellent. Okay.
But he will probably be the one
kind of the coordinator.
to kind of coordinate it
Okay.
and head it all up.
Okay, and just, and I don't need to know this today, but if you could by next meeting, do you know when the last business continuity disaster recovery test was for the college?
I do not.
No?
and that
Okay,
would
maybe
be
by
something
next
I'll
meeting, I'd be
follow up
interested to
on.
know that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, also in that role, staying with Cliff in that role, is there any additional training or certification he needs to perform those expanded functions? And
Training possibly. That's an ongoing conversation we will have as we meet with one-on-one certifications, not that I'm aware of.
okay. All right. Thank you.
And this is not a question, but a comment. Congratulations to Buildings and Grounds and to everyone who does a good job. But having seen the different things that have happened with that space downstairs, the Veterans Center now, oh my goodness, congratulations. You all really transformed that space. So congratulations to Buildings and Grounds and making the Veterans Center what it is. I mean, I know when we were talking about taking that space and knowing that it has changed over the years, it's been several different things, and people who are here know that area has changed many times over the years, but what you've transformed it to now is just amazing. So thank you.
Agreed. Here, here.
Great job.
Excellent.
Thank you, Billy.
Yes.
Jeff Sixka and staff.
Well done. Yep.
Any other questions?
I got a question for you. Give an update on the marquee signs, where we're at on that.
Yeah, so the marquee signs went through a zoning hearing, which they went through with flying colors, and so now we're just working through the process of getting them started. But all stops are out, and we can proceed.
Good news. Yeah.
Good.
And if you don't mind, you brought it up in the, and I brought it up here briefly, but could you update the board just where we're at financially, just with, I mentioned a surplus, what that looks like and what caused that? Could you explain
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that I can take credit for, because the wheels were already in motion when I arrived here, obviously. But it's really due to the efforts of everybody here at the college to be able to control costs. We're still doing a couple of final not audit adjustments, but year-end adjustments to get it ready for the audit. But we're looking at a little more than a $2 million surplus to add to the reserves, most of which, although there's still one more entry that will impact fixed assets, which impacts our capital reserves. So don't know the exact dollar amount of what will go to operating reserves, but it's going to be a pretty good chunk. Again, I really have to attribute it to the fact that I think departments have done a really good job in managing the budgets. We've had an increase in revenues this year that weren't necessarily anticipated, but we continue to do a good job controlling costs.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well done.
And then, I don't know if we found out, was there any type of huge budgetary impact from the Woodlands appeal? Did we
Marie's still looking into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Have a
Real,
motion to
real quick, please.
Okay.
Just had a question about the VFD technology that is being currently tested. It's actually the very last page of the packet. Were there some type of savings projected? I'm sure there were, and I'm wondering if you could at least elaborate on what type of projected savings there were as a justification for testing this equipment with the hope of energy and resource savings.
I will put our master of that area on the spot and
Okay.
ask Jeff Sixta if he'll come up and address that question.
Yeah. So,
Is this related to that last item?
I could say the answer to that is no right now.
Yeah.
We don't know what the projected savings will be. What we're at is at the end of life of some of our units.
Okay.
We're going to be replacing 14.
14.
Some were 21 years or 20 years old, some were 10, some were 5. We're into our 10-year
Right.
span of the ones that we're replacing right now. Right.
Okay, all righty. And then you're testing and evaluating the VFD technology for clarification as to whether or not it will be used on the 14 that will be replaced? Is that what I'm understanding in this?
Well, a VFD is a variable frequency drive is what we use on our air handlers. Air handlers, pumps, motors, and stuff like that, so that makes them ramp up slowly instead of just whamming on like your home
Right.
air conditioner. It takes its time to ramp up,
Right.
and then during the daytime, it will either speed up or slow down depending on the electrical usage.
Okay.
Okay?
All righty. Thank you.
While you're there, can we go ahead and talk about the item that was going to be under new business, the test energy savings technology?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Right. Is there
These
any-
are being provided by ABB.
Mhm.
They're going to give us 14. We have, as of today, 8 of them installed. We have 6 more to go. And then we'll look at the rest of them in the next year or two to see what we need to have replaced at that time.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
then
you.
Motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just,
Motion
generic
carries.
stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so we were told about the SESI report, so Do we need to address that any further, or, okay? And we're looking forward to hearing from Dr. Wilson next month, okay? All right, and next new business is KCKCC Strategic Planning Development Timeline. Dr. Mosier.
Yes, thank you very much. Before I jump to that, at first, I just, listening to the team report on everything that they're doing and all the initiatives and the great things happening across campus, I just want to thank my team. We've got a wonderful team, and they're really working hard, and we're just, we've got a ton of projects going on right now. Just very, very proud of what they're doing, so thank you all. We are in the planning stages for the development of our next strategic plan, which will run from 2020 to 2023, and 2023 being our centennial year. This is our pathway to our centennial. So another big thanks goes out to Tammy and her team for putting together the document that's before you tonight that outlines the timeline. We're presenting this evening to allow you opportunity to provide feedback into the timeline, and then hopefully, if you are all in favor, that we support this timeline moving forward, and we'll continue with the creation of a strategic plan. As I mentioned in an email to provide additional information for the conversation, the general flow of the plan is really what we're looking at. What we're wanting to do as an institution is to provide opportunities for grassroots input into the future direction of the college. We can't, as an administration, just sit in our office and develop a plan with no input and expect it to be successful. So we're holding a lot of different forums, student, public, faculty and staff, college, and board invited to those forums as well. So what we're looking at is we'll have forums to collect information given the different topics of the strategic plan. Right now we're working on mission and vision. From those forums, the information gathered, it will go back to the steering committee. The steering committee will make adjustments and do some refinement and send several options to President's Cabinet, where we will look at it, make some additional refinements. And then for shared governance, we will take those and present them to the college senates and councils across the college campuses to allow input from there as well. And then we'll fine tune them again through this steering committee and the President's Cabinet until they're at what we believe to be a final draft form. At that point, we would like to have a mid-year submission to you as the board to provide feedback in the December board meeting. In the fall, we'll carry through with that same process that we started in the spring, that we started this fall. At spring convocation, we'll introduce where we are in the strategic planning process and break up into groups to discuss the strategic priorities, goals, and initiatives that will help us complete the strategic plan. And of course, we will introduce measures so that we know our KPIs and whether or not we have been successful. So if you've had an opportunity to review the timeline, if you have any questions about them, I would be glad to answer any questions, or my team would. And then we're seeking your approval, either with or without edits, to proceed with this timeline as a final form.
Any questions?
Dr. Mosher, you mentioned earlier you'd be contacting other community colleges, and you used the terms, I believe, shared governance. And what I heard, though, was that you'd be basically requesting feedback, just keeping the feedback channel open as opposed to them having any type of decision in our strategic plan. Is that what I heard, or?
Somewhat, but not exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
During the process to start the development of those topics, say for the fall convocation, we introduced the idea of mission and vision, and then the college went out into 15 different groups and provided input into what they believe should be the mission and vision of the college.
Okay.
So the collection of information and input actually started at the grassroots level.
Okay.
Then it works up to the steering committee and then to President's Cabinet as we refine what was submitted by the college campus and community members.
Okay, so it's
So,
a collection
yeah,
of-
they'll have, it won't be started by cabinet or administration and then sent out just for input or feedback. It actually starts at the grassroots level, and then it builds from there, just for the refinement.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
On November 16, strategic profile 6 to 8, is the 6 to 8 as you expect to have those priorities, at least suggested, it will be 6 to 8 of them, is that what it is?
Right, so after input is collected from the campus, from the college, it goes to the steering committee. The steering committee will put together 6 to 8 priorities. President's Cabinet will look at it, and really what we want to end up with is no more than 4. So it's a 4 by 4 by 4 model. So we'll have 6 or 8 to look at. The goal is for the cabinet to refine it to 4. We may still have 4 or 5 when it goes out to the college senates and councils. When it's all said and done, we want to have 4 very large overarching topics for our strategic priorities. Then we'll refine down from there.
Yeah. The only other comment I have is that we've had a real challenge getting public input on issues with the college, and I just hope we can find a way to really get this advertised and get a good response from our community. Because it's been hard to
Right.
get people to come to events, so
Right.
hope we can do better.
Yes.
To that end, I noticed a couple of dates, and they were target dates, but they've already passed, that actually call for there to be student and public forums. Were those conducted?
Yes, they were. They have been conducted, and we have some yet to come. So they have been conducted. Depending on location and time, the attendance and participation has varied as well.
Okay.
So we're looking at
So the
trying to
ones
get
on
additional-
September 6th and September 13th then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? So, is
Dr.
the-
Mosier, are you looking for a formal approval of this?
Yes, sir,
Yeah,
please.
I'll move approval of the Centennial Path.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Centennial Path timeline. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll just have to stay on top of all these dates and kind of remember.
It is a busy schedule, yes.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
All right. We have no executive sessions this evening, so can I have a motion to adjourn?
Before we do
I'm
that,
sorry.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to make a comment. I had the opportunity to be guest speaker in one of the classes up at the Pioneer Center in Leavenworth. And I was very impressed by just the overall program up there. The grounds were beautiful, clean, neat, very inviting, welcoming. Inside the facility, same thing. There was energy and enthusiasm there. They were getting ready for their back-to-school bash that night or the next night. I don't know how that went, but they were
You didn't
excited
stay?
about it. They were excited about it, and so that's really not a very good building for education learning, in my opinion. But our folks are doing a great job with it there, and there was a lot of learning going on there, and I was very impressed. So whoever's here representing, or please carry that back. They had no idea I was coming, and so it was just kind of a spot deal, but I was impressed. It looked very good. Everything that was going on there was very positive.
Great. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
With all the dates and things, I just remembered something that's happening downstairs. They're doing the I believe it's high school orientation for Saturday Academy this evening. So there will be a lot of families with their young adults
There's some right
getting ready for that. So just letting you know that it's down there. I'm sorry it slipped my mind earlier. I would have said
So
it.
Saturday Academy begins
October 6th, I think.
October 6th.
But I will send you all the dates for Saturday Academy.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any comments?
Just want to thank all the staff and faculty and administrators for hanging around with us. So you had a long day, and we appreciate you standing over for us.
Thank you. Do you have another? Oh, okay.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Meeting adjourned.
You're welcome to stay.
You know,